Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and I'm so confused. I just got out of seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and my brain is basically a halibut right now. By that I mean that I screwed myself up by reading a spoiler that was a fake spoiler. So the whole time I was expecting an ending that was never filmed, doesn't exist. I've been, reading movie reviews and news way back in the day in the 1990s. And back the day, it was kind of like a more personal touch. Someone would have a website, so they would stake their website's reputation on, is this stuff true? I'm not going to spread it unless, a couple different people corroborate. But now those websites are kind of gone. So you're just reading some Reddit post and it's just like the wild, wild west. Is this real or is it not? You just basically read it. Does it sound believable? So I read this description of the plot, which was BS. Like, that guy was just making stuff up based on trailers and publicity stills and whatever. Honestly, I will say his ending wasn't bad. It was actually kind of, it fit the tone of the movie that was actually shot and released. And I spent a half hour outside in the sun, which I usually avoid like the plague, just in the front of the theater, just confused and Googling, why did I think this? Where did I get it from? I'm Googling all the bits from that fake spoiler post, and it's gone. I actually tried to find it a couple days ago and it was gone. I guess the jokester, as soon as they started getting reviews, he just took it down. But anyway, so this movie is, the trailer isn't a lie, it isn't a trick. It's set in 1969 on 3 different days, 2 consecutive days in February, and then 6 months later, I think in August. I was in the bathroom when they had this part. It was a long movie. I had to go to the bathroom a couple times. But it's just really, really good. Now, I got pretty hyped. I did a video about a week or so ago. I think this might be Tarantino's best. And right now I would say no. I would actually kind of put it in the middle. But it's, the weird thing is it's almost a moot point. He's had a career for, 27 years? Wow. Really? So yeah, 27 years, 1992. Reservoir Dogs. So to compare his movies now to then, it's not even that they're better or worse, is that they're fundamentally different. This is what I would definitely call the most mature, in that it was the least showy and, clever. Somebody in a review made a good point. A lot of his other movies, the majority of them, they make reference to the things of his childhood, but since this is set in his childhood, people are just kind of living it, not referencing it. So then it's almost like he kind of writes more normal and straightforward. So, it's a couple of guys from the cowboy heydays in the 1950s. By the way, I gotta say, like, film criticism, journalism, it is all mush right now. I have read so many, not just in that fake one, but even in the real reviews, people are talking about, Cliff Booth plays a Vietnam vet. No. It's 1969. He's like, the whole of the Vietnam War, he was being a stuntman. Like, they established that in the timeline. So he was probably Korean War. But then even this other, the stuff I read, it's like I'm the only person who saw the movie. I saw a bunch of people saying, what's her name who plays Sharon Tate only has 10 lines. This is so bad against women. It's like, if you saw that and that is your takeaway, there's no medicine that helps that. What's wrong with you? You really were counting lines and saying she was lesser or diminished because she didn't have spoken lines. She's in 30 minutes of screen time. And she wasn't billed as a lead either. She's a supporting character and she was in a lot of it. You're really going to count lines? So what do you think? In Conan the Barbarian, is Arnold, is he a supporting character because he didn't have any dialogue? And what about Castaway? Is Tom Hanks an extra? Like, so anyway, yeah. So it's about two guys from the cowboy heyday of TV, and they're dealing with the industry changing and society changing. And it's got the Manson family, and it's got Bruce Lee, and it's got real TV shows, fake TV shows, real stars, fake stars. I gotta say, the guy from Band of Brothers, I'm blanking on his name, playing Steve McQueen, was absolute trash. I cannot believe that made it to the final thing. He doesn't look like Steve McQueen. He doesn't sound like him. It's the most pointless like fake cameo I've ever seen ever. But the general story about, two guys who, Leonardo DiCaprio is my age, and Brad Pitt is 10 years older, but he looks younger than me. So I'm guessing their characters are supposed to be around 40 or so. If he was doing, 1950s TV shows, yeah, this is probably late 30s. They're probably pushing 40, and they're moving into this thing of they don't know what's going to happen. Leonardo's character is he's basically just doing guest stars, playing villains. He's dealing with alcoholism. He gets an offer to go do spaghetti westerns in Italy for 6 months, and that's the little skip where we do the 2 consecutive days, and then the 6 months later they go and come back. But it's good. Actually, it's really good. I got a little bit bored just because I'm not really interested in the making of TV shows, especially cowboy shows, which I hate. My dad's really into cowboy shows, but I can't stand that stuff. I grew up with him watching all the reruns. Oh, it was just awful. Maybe if Leonardo DiCaprio's character would have been like the main character on a Star Trek or a Lost in Space type of show, yeah, I probably would have had more interest. I don't care anything about cowboys, but there's some really interesting backstory for. I would say this is. I would say Brad Pitt steals this movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is really good, but I don't know. Like Brad Pitt just kind of steals it. Some people are just. It's not even their fault. It's just the role and how it was written. Like I was reviewing Jason Momoa, and it's like on paper and publicity stills, he looks like the ultimate Conan the Barbarian, but you see the movie and he just doesn't pull it off. Now I'm not saying Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't pull off his role. He absolutely does, but I think he was supposed to be the lead. And I thought it was much better when they were focusing on Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt has a side quest where he ends up interacting with the members of the Manson clan. He also interacts with Bruce Lee and gets in a fight with them. He maybe killed his wife, maybe didn't. One of the funny things is, when you read like the summaries and the reviews, you go, oh, I bet they're really going to flesh that out. Nope. Basically, 2 people say he killed his wife and got away with it, and that's it. Like, they show one little scene where his wife is haranguing him and he's got a spear gun in his hand. Did it fire by accident? Did they hit, a buoy or something like that? Whatever, he got away with it. But I really liked it for... I really liked the mixing in the real people with the fictional people. The Bruce Lee scene, I love it because it wasn't like worshiping him. It was actually kind of like... okay, I'll tell you the spoiler. It's not even a spoiler because it's fake. The person who wrote that fake spoiler, they said at the end it was Leo, Brad Pitt, and the guy who plays Bruce Lee, and they were all assaulting, doing like a raid on the Manson clan at the Spawn Ranch, and just slaughtering all of them. I was like, that actually sounds freaking awesome. And they said like Cliff dies, Brad Pitt's character dies. That was completely made up. It was never shot. It was never nothing. There actually is one publicity still of Leonardo DiCaprio jumping out of the back of a truck, shooting a shotgun, and another one where he's shooting a shotgun while the truck is driving. But I think that's from a movie within a movie, little bit they shot some footage for, and it just looked cool. Kind of jumping around. They have some, Tarantino isms. There's a lot of women's dirty feet, like right there in the middle of the frame. I wasn't down for that. There's a lot of hairy armpits. I wasn't down for that. But there was some really good acting. The period thing felt real. I would compare this to like Shane Black's The Good Guys, which felt very much like a movie set in the past. This seems like a movie that was filmed in the past. They get the time period really, really well. Honestly, I'm blanking on her name, but the Sharon Tate character, she was fantastic. She's supposed to be this like, symbol of hope and happiness and purity. And I guess she was supposed to have 72 lines instead of 9 to 13, because weirdo SJW critics are, I don't know, stupid. I would say it's the least amount of cursing I've ever seen in a Tarantino movie. Probably the least amount of violence I've ever seen in any of them. Although at the very end scene, it gets super violent in a very, very satisfying way. That being said, the whole time, I thought the ending was actually the scene before the big climax that wasn't real. So when it ended, I sat there like it was a Marvel movie and there was going to be 2 or 3 post-credit scenes, and I actually finally got like the from the people trying to, like, it's done. This movie is done. You watched all the way till they have the copyright information and the date. Like, it's done. I thought it was going to be a trick. It wasn't a trick. Well, it was a trick with the guy doing the fake review. But really, really good. The more I think about it, the more I like it. Like I said, I had to go to the bathroom a couple of times, and I usually use that as a gauge of how much I like a movie. If I like a movie, I'm running there, I'm running back. If the movie's I'll go there, maybe check my email on my phone. And I'm not implying that I missed whole giant chunks. I'm talking about, instead of like 45 seconds out of the theater, 2 or 3 minutes, just take my time, amble there, amble back. I actually skipped on some scenes that, again, were kind of like the behind the scenes of acting and cowboy stuff. There's one scene where he's talking to a little girl about acting. I was like, I can miss this stuff entirely. And then the other time, when it was going from the second day to the third, it doesn't look like I missed much at all. That being said, let's see, what else? What's her name? Lena Durham was not distracting or bad. She's a minor character, but I thought she totally fit in with everyone else. The hippies, I'm not used to how hippies were portrayed in this, because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and almost all of the portrayals of hippies were positive. They were just like these golden sun children of hope and peace. But this one is very strongly anti-hippie, and the two leads, they just see them and they just get angry. And I'm not going to do spoilers on this one. This is a Tarantino movie. Although you're going to have a completely different experience than I did. Oh my gosh, I was so confused at the end. But overall, like I said, 27 years, he's quite a different writer and director than he was at the beginning. I would still say, Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, those are still the high water marks. Parts of Inglourious Bastards were quite good. Parts of Django were quite good. I would say I would put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood definitely above Django Unchained, Inglourious Bastards, and Hateful Eight. Definitely, I hated Hateful Eight. As far as Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, I know people are saying I need to revisit Jackie Brown. I am going to do that. I need to revisit Jackie Brown. I only saw it once and I didn't like it. Kill Bill, I just liked just fine, but I kind of really don't care about it. I liked it more than Kill Bill. Is it better? Yeah, I actually liked how he was kind of writing people more like people and kind of just spending time with them. A lot of this is almost like a hangout movie. Cast 2 likable actors, create 2 likable characters. There's like a whole scene of just like Brad Pitt in his trailer feeding his dog, and I was not bored with that at all. I was really into that scene, just seeing his life when he's not on a set or hanging out, with his buddy. But kind of a rambling review, but it is a recommend. So go check out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Thanks for watching, and I'll have another movie review up tomorrow. Bye.